as those found out and realized it is impossible to keep moving constantly, right? Especially in a crowded city, their screams kept me moving. Their screams kept me moving. It's been four hours now and I'm exhausted. My gosh, the only thing I can think about is drinking, eating, sleeping, resting. My legs are just cramping. But they push me, those screams, the fear of what awaits pushes me to my very limits. I don't want to know what awaits me when I stop. And yes, I mean when. Proven by, well, many around me, eventually I will have to stop. Some have just given up, accepting their fate only, to immediately regret the decision. You see, immediately they regret the decision. Some just couldn't take the screams anymore, and not of their own, of those around them, and most simply don't see the point of continuing, because we all have to stop. And with every step I'm starting to become more like the latter. I can't help it. It's been six hours now. 6, not 4, not 3, not 5, but 6 agonizing hours. And for the first time, I saw what happens up close. It's not pretty. I was walking aimlessly down an alleyway, trying to get away from the madness, when I saw a young man no more than 16 crying, sobbing hysterically. I couldn't even process what was going on. It didn't even register in my mind. The madness, the true madness. Even when he looked me in the eyes, he looked right at me, and I couldn't process his fear. But then I looked closer. I looked deep into those bloodshot eyes of his. His eyes were bloodshot, and not just whites around his pupils. An expressionless face. And then it truly unraveled for me, in all sense of the words. The word, my comprehension, my reality, my life, my purpose, understanding the universe. I don't even know. But he smiled. A wide, toothy smile that would have screamed of joy if it wasn't followed by an animalistic, howling scream. I mean, the screams that would tear your eardrums right out of your head and run your blood cold. But you know what? It wasn't even the smile that really made me think, or fear, or I don't even know what I'm feeling or trying to say right now. It was the black tears coming down his face. Black tears. tears. Black tears. And then he thought it would get bad, right? I mean, if you're streaming, his eyes were entirely crimson red. They're not just bloodshot vessels that had broken, but blood red and the blackest pupils you've ever seen, crying, streaming down his face. Black tears. I wish I could say I witnessed him dying. I wish I could be honest with you and tell you that I stood there still and observed this creature's last breaths, but I didn't. And I wish I could say that witnessing this man's horrific death or process was the worst thing that happened to me today. It was the realization that I had stopped moving. Scary story number 2 by Oven Friend. Son, we need to have a chat about internet safety, I slowly crumbled down onto the floor next to him. His laptop was open and he was playing Minecraft on a public server. His eyes were locked onto the screen. Comments scrolled down the side of the screen in a chat box. Son, can you stop your game for 1 minute? He exited the world, closed the laptop, and looked up at me. Dad, is this going to be another cheesy, scary story? What? I faked hurt feelings for a second and then grinned at him. I thought you liked my cautionary tales. He grew up listening to my stories. I thought you liked them. I thought he did. About children who encountered witches, ghosts, werewolves, vampires, and trolls. Like many generations of parents, I use scary stories to reinforce morals and teach lessons about safety, has been gone and done from the dawn of time. Single dads like me should use all the parenting tools at their disposal, I believe. He scrunched his cute little face. They were fine, Dad, when I was 6. But now that I'm getting older, they don't scare me anymore. They seem kind of stupid, to be honest with you. What? It kind of broke my heart, actually. If you're gonna tell another scary internet story, can you make it really, really scary, Dad? I squinted at him incredulously. He folded his arms. Dad, I'm 10 now, and I can handle it. I'm an adult. Okay, son, I'll try. I'll try. I began. Once upon a time, there was a boy named Colby. His expression indicated that he wasn't impressed with the terror of the introduction. He sighed deeply and settled in for one of Dad's cheesy stories. But I continued. You see, Colby went online, joined several children's websites. After a while, he started talking to the kids in-game and on the message boards, kinda like you, kiddo. made friends with another boy, a 10-year-old boy named Helper 23. They liked the same video games and shows. They laughed at each other's jokes. They explored new games together. But after several months of friendship, Colby gave Helper 23 6 diamonds in a game they were playing. This was a very generous gift. Colby's birthday was coming up, and Helper 23 wanted to send him a cool present in real life. Colby figured it wouldn't hurt to give Helper 23 their address, right? I mean, this was his friend. He had sent him a birthday gift of 20 diamonds. A generous gift. I mean, he must love him, right? As long as he promised not to tell any strangers or grown-ups. Helper 23 swore on his life that he wouldn't tell anyone else, not even his own parents, and set about mailing the package. I paused the story and asked my son, "Do you think that was a good idea, son?" "No," he said, shaking his head vigorously. In spite of himself, he was getting into the story. Well, neither did Colby. You see, Colby felt guilty giving away his home address, and his guilt began to grow and grow. And by the time he put on his pajamas the next night, his guilt and fear were larger than anything else in his life. He resolved to admit the truth to his parents. The punishment would be steep, but it was worth it to have a clear conscience. He squirmed in his bed and as he waited for his parents to tuck him in. My son knew the scary part was coming up, and in spite of his tough talk, he leaned forward wide-eyed. I spoke quietly and deliberately. My son knew the scary part. He knew that there was a fine line between fiction and reality here. He heard all noises of the house. The washing machine bounced around in the laundry room. Branches scraped against the brick outside his room. Branches. They scraped against the brick. His baby brother cooed in the nursery. And there were some other noises he couldn't quite pinpoint. Finally, his dad's footsteps echoed down the hall. "Hey, Dad?" he called out nervously. I have something to tell you." His dad stuck his head in the doorway at a weird angle. Into the darkness, his mouth didn't seem to move, and the eyes were all wrong. "Yes, son." The voice was way off. "Are you okay, Dad?" the boy asked. "Uh-huh," sung the father in his strangely affected voice. Colby pulled his covers over defensively. Is Mom around?" "See, I have something to tell you." "Here I am," Mom's head popped into the doorway below Dad's. Her voice was unnatural falsetto. "Were you about to tell us that you gave our home address to Helper 23? You shouldn't have done that. We told you never give our personal information on the internet," she continued. "He wasn't really a kid. He just pretended to be one. Do you know what he did? He came to our murdered both of us. Just so he could spend time with you, she continued. A fat man in a wet jacket emerged in the child's doorway holding the two severed heads. Colby shrieked and gasped as the man dropped the heads on the ground, unsheathed his knife, and moved into the room to work on the boy. My son, he screamed too. He twisted his hands defensively over his face, but we are just getting started with the story, you see. We're just getting started with the story. And this is where it gets good, you see. He looked at me and twisted his hands defensively over his face. After several hours, the boy, almost dead in his screams, had become whimpers. The killer noticed the wailing of the baby in another room and removed his knife from Colby. This was a special treat. He had never murdered a baby before and was excited about the prospect. Helper 23 left Colby to die and followed the cries through the house like a homing beacon. In the nursery, he walked to the crib, picked up the baby and held it in his arms. He moved towards the changing table to get a better look. The baby looked up and smiled. Helper 23 had never held a baby before, but he gently bounced it in his arms like a pro. He wiped its bloody hands on a blanket so he could stroke the baby's cheek. Hey there, sweet little guy. The beautiful rage of sadism melted into something warmer and softer and paternal. He walked out of the nursery, took the baby home, named him William, and to his bedroom. Named him William and raised him as his very own. After I finished the story, my son was visibly shaken. Between ragged staccato breaths, he stammered, "But Dad, my name is William." I gave him a classic dad wink and a toss of his hair. "Of course it is, son." William ran up the stairs to his bedroom in a fury of sobs. But deep down, I think their son liked the story. Story number 333. I was an air traffic controller at Atlanta International Airport, Atlantic Municipal Airport, Iowa, for 27 years. My first year at the job, I unwillingly went from a firm atheist to a believer. You see, my uncle and aunt came to visit me here in Atlanta. I think it was meant to say Atlanta, but Atlantic, I don't know. We'll see. We got to talking about all the general things, you know. Oh, this is the author. I get it. Alright. So, these are just memories. This is a non-traditional type story, so be patient. It was the winter of 2012. Bye. N-A-A-S. Are you typing? Are you okay? Okay, and you're friends on the internet will read this outright. But warn them that these are just an old man's memories. That's all. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning. So I graduated from Fordham in 1974. I still had no idea what I was going to do with my life, but do any of us when we're that age? Times were different then, I guess. We were able to find jobs pretty easily. Jesus, I remember companies practically paying us extra, begging us to work there. But I didn't want to do some crappy desk job or corporate drama for the rest of my life. No, I waited. Then one day, while flying to visit your aunt on Thanksgiving, I caught myself being fascinated with the complexity of air traffic control systems. And that's all it took. I was hooked. I passed all the necessary tests. And have accumulated enough experience to be hired. And I worked without supervision. See, things with air traffic controllers is that you have so much control. And I had nobody watching over me. So, let's just start from the beginning, I guess. Like I said, this is not a traditional written story. The thing with air traffic controllers is that you don't really get to choose where you're going to work in the first few years of your career. Sure, we all wanted to work at JFK or Hartsfield-Jackson in Atlanta, but those jobs weren't available to us rookies. Now, I had to take a job in BFE, a little town in Iowa called Atlantic. It was literally a single landing strip in a cornfield. That's right. But I had to pay my dues, and I loved what I did. And money was okay. At least it was a secure income. Now, let me tell you something. Small airports, like these, usually only work 8 to 5. But this particular airstrip was in such a geographical location that there were a lot of flights going above us at any time of the day. So we needed to stay open until 4 a.m. in case of emergency landing. By staying open, I mean I had to sit in the control tower, and there was one security guy sleeping in the airport's only terminal. Looking back, it wasn't really that bad. Not really. I'd bring my books and crossword puzzles, and I'd spend hours on the phone with your aunt. You know how they say all the air and traffic controller is the most stressful job in the world? Well, I was bored at 99% of the time. Yeah. That 1% was guiding small Cessnas into my cornfield airport. So why am I telling you all this? Well, 3 months into my job, something started to happen. I mean, really started. Something was happening, okay? Something that even today I can't really, I don't know, I'll save you the BS about the supernatural, but what happened at that airport was just not right. It was February 20th, 1979. I remember as clear as it was yesterday. A regular winter night in Iowa, winds blowing, freezing cold, but no snow, just empty howling of the wind. I was supposed to work until 4 a.m., although we didn't have any flights scheduled. Like I said, emergency flights were also a priority. Around 1 a.m., I received a radio message from a small Cessna about 30 miles from the airport. They were having really bad snow, a huge snowstorm up in Omaha, and needed to land here in Atlantic. I guess being open late was justified after all. I got my binoculars out, verified the visibility, and started guiding the aircraft in. Though it was really windy out there, they managed to touch down. I looked through the binoculars to verify the landing went okay, and that's when I saw her for the first time. Just walking down the runway as if there were normal streets, and it wasn't a cornfield airport. It was a woman, just a normal woman. I don't know, crap, no. There was about 100 things wrong with this situation, and I'm sure you can see that the first one was that this woman was walking down an airstrip like it was a street. And I had a plane coming in. But first, let me tell you what she looked like. She was wearing some sort of short summer dress. Yes, in the middle of winter. Or a nightgown. I wasn't really quite sure. And listen to this. She was barefoot. Believe it or not. Normal people would be freezing dressed like this. I mean, in summertime, in the middle of the night, let alone winter. And then you had to question yourself, what in the world was this person doing walking down the active runway? How in the hell did she even get there to begin with? Flight 84, this is Alex from Air Traffic Control. Do you happen to see a woman walking down the runway towards you? Out. I prompted the pilot to respond who had just landed. Let me check, the pilot responded. Still watching through the binoculars, I saw him open the door of the plane and get out. He started approaching this woman, walking right towards her. Now, I'm not going to lie, at that point I was kind of having fun. It was kind of funny, like, this gal has to be crazy, right? It was entertainment for little old Atlantic, Iowa, right? I couldn't wait to hear her story. My bet was that she got into a car accident near the airport, or maybe she got into a fight with her boyfriend, who knows, and he kicked her out, or something wild like that had to have been the reason she was here, right? Well, the pilot walked up to her, and I could make it that he was saying something. He saw her. He started walking towards the woman, and even closer as he was talking. Then he stood there as I saw, still through the binoculars, he leaned in as she leaned to his ear and almost was like whispering something to him. He just stood there for 10 seconds with neither of them moving. She was still leaned against his ear, close. Then he snapped out of it, I guess. He turned around and literally sprinted to the plane. When I saw the propeller start to rotate, I jumped on my radio. Flight 84, what are you doing? No answer. Flight 84, I repeat, nothing is it. Nothing. What is happening? What is happening? Nothing. Then the plane started moving, started speeding up. Flight 84, you do not have permission to take off. I repeat, you do not have permission. You are not cleared for takeoff. But still no answer. That damn Cessna kept speeding up and then took off. Nothing I could do really, besides making sure that no other planes were above us at the time. I tried one more time. Flight 84. This is your air traffic controller. What in the almighty hell is happening? And then my radio started making the white noise. Loud and crusty. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Was all I could hear. No, 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 no. Flight 84, please repeat. You're breaking up. Radio started transmitting again. Wow, what a night, I thought. Flight 84, did you say? Run. Run. Is all that came out of that damn radio. The plane had long gone. Shaking my head, I sank into my chair, trying to decipher what in the absolute hell was happening. And what happened? Run from what? What the hell? And then it dawned on me. Wait, the woman. I grabbed the binoculars, and there she stood, looking straight at me. Good 200 yards away at night, she was somehow looking straight at me in the pitch dark of my office. There was no way she could have seen me. As you know, if you know anything about airports, the air traffic controller is completely blacked out, so planes will see the light above it. And not into us. There was no way she could have seen me. No way a normal human could. How is she looking? Her eyes were so dark and wide. I'm staring through the binoculars. How is she looking straight at me? Maybe she wasn't. What in the world? I mumbled. At that moment, she started running towards my tower. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I was scared. It wasn't a jog. It wasn't a fast walk. It was a full-on sprint. I had goosebumps crawling up my skin as she stared into my eyes as she's sprinting towards me. Never looked away. I felt like 1,000 cold tiny ant legs scrambling all over my skin. You know, I'm not one to get scared at all. Never. I spent 6 years in Vietnam, but something about this situation, something about the pilot telling me to run, and this woman running towards me was so wrong. It was terrifying. Joe, are you there? Joe, I blurted into the radio. Joe, our nightly security guard, didn't answer. Crap, I looked through the window just in time to see the woman run into my tower. I heard the door downstairs slam open. I honestly didn't know what to do. The woman was an irrational situation. She was an irrational person. This was not a normal 911 call, I guess, is what you'd call it today. What do you say? There's a strange lady who's staring at me with incredible speed coming through my door, and my security guard isn't answering. I don't know. What do you say? What do you tell people? But then you, and then the shadows show up under your door. Well, this was opposite. As soon as those doors opened, chaos ensued. I tried peeking through the keyhole, but all I was able to see is fast shadow running across the room, accompanied by a tremendous, strange noise. I can't even explain it. I swear I was so shocked that at one point I nearly opened the door just to see what in the hell was causing all this. Then a hard slam into the bathroom door had me nearly fall to the floor. And then silence. Nothing. Complete, utter silence, like death. Like a silence that hurts your ears. I don't know. I could lie and pretend I was brave. Brave enough to get out of the bathroom soon after, but I wasn't. I'll admit it. I'm not even shy. I stayed in that bathroom the whole night waiting for the morning shift. Around 7:45 a.m., I heard a familiar voice say, "What in the hell?" It was Clark, the morning shift controller. I opened the door quickly. Just the scene, so twisted that even to this day I remember every detail. The control room was nearly totaled. Radios ripped out, papers, manuscripts everywhere, radar screens smashed into pieces, thousands and thousands of dollars of things destroyed. When the police came, I gave the full report. It took 11 days to repair all the equipment to get the room fully functional. The security guard was not fired. They even started considering installing security cameras. Oh, he was fired. I'm sorry, he was fired. But I can't imagine what he went through. Police had no idea what to make of it. They just urged us to report any suspicious activity, I guess. I came back to work on March 4th. I was worried about working nights again, but I was convinced that whoever did this was far gone by now. The next month or so was uneventful, just like how it always was. I was scheduled to hit with a big snowstorm that day. Most of the flights were grounded, but some were still in the air. I had to work. I hated it because if we did get hit with heavy snow, I'd probably end up being stranded. But I wish that was the worst thing that happened. Around 11 p.m. that night, when it was already snowing hard, I received a radio message from a small private jet 50 miles away. They were getting caught in heavy winds and the pilot wanted to land on our airport immediately. Now, jets like that would traditionally be too big to land at our strip, but the emergency call for override of guidelines. Flight 676, you are cleared to land, but we have to remain in contact at all times. This strip's pretty short. Do you acknowledge? Sure thing, let me just put this puppy down, shall we? The pilot said. Snow came tumbling down, heavy in sheets almost. Thankfully, we had a cleanup crew and cleaned the runway before they had dome, and it was still in decent condition. Again, back then we were more relaxed about the rules. Much more relaxed. I looked at the strip to make sure it was clear, and then out of nowhere, I forgot about her, and then she appeared. She started slowly strolling down the strip about 100 yards away from the tower, her bare feet moving across the freezing asphalt. The worst part about it, she was looking at me again. Me, straight at me, those crazy eyes, the crazy eyes, the black devil demon eyes. Oh God, Flight 676 maintained. I repeat, maintain the altitude until further communication. Traffic control, this is 676. That is a negative. We cannot maintain with headwinds like this. We have to land. Are we clear? We are 6 minutes away. I couldn't risk the lives of the people up in that plane. I had to land them. Despite this, whatever this was, walking down the runway, I took a deep breath and said, cleared to land 676. I put down the radio and I looked through the window. She was now some 10 yards away, coming closer, closer, and closer to the tower. Though I shouldn't, under any circumstances, leave that control room, I ran down to first floor and locked the outside door. I knew she was close, and I knew she was coming. When I got back, I heard the radio. Control tower, we're approaching the runway. Wait, please advise, please advise. Rotate 3 degrees to the right. Acknowledge. Copy that. We see the lights now. See you soon. I looked up through the window and could see the plane in the distance. There was no trace of the woman on the runway. I sighed a breath of relief. I was going to deal with this issue after the jet landed safely. At that moment, a loud noise broke through the tower. I didn't want to believe it. I was afraid that first floor door had slammed open. How in the hell I locked it? I know I did. And then the goosebumps. Those 10,000 tiny little ant legs all over me again. See, and I'm explaining this to you like this because they aren't like your regular goosebumps. They were different somehow. Acknowledging some strange energy. You know, this is when I realized how afraid I was. I'm almost 70 and I'm not embarrassed to admit how scared I was at that moment. Matter of fact, I was so scared I couldn't even turn around and look. If you can believe that, I just couldn't face what was behind me. I'm a very composed and rational human being. Up until that night. My first instinct, actually, if I have to be completely honest, was to go back to the bathroom again, but I couldn't leave that plane out there. Footsteps on the metal stairs got louder. I assumed it was her. Wasn't running, at least, thank God, but the violent sound of footsteps made me think she was slamming her feet intentionally onto the floor with every step. 676, this is traffic control. I have visual confirmation, clear to land. I heard the control room doors open. And this is what I was saying. I knew it was her behind me. And the fear that I felt was so real. I'm sure your friends on the internet will laugh at how I reacted, but I guarantee most of you would have been acting exactly the same. Your body just doesn't behave normally when it's terrified by something otherworldly. Traffic control, 30 seconds out. Here we go. Came over the radio. I slowly pressed the talk button on the radio. My teeth literally chattering. Like, you know, when you're cold. But I wasn't cold. I was scared. I slowly pressed the talk button on the radio. All clear. All clear, I muttered. Then I could feel a cold breath on my neck. She was behind me, breathing slowly into my neck. I could feel the lips move up to my ear. You know, when you're a kid, kid as someone's messing behind your back, making funny faces, funny ears. You can feel it somehow. Yeah, that was it. But this wasn't an earthly situation, you know. Come down to field, come down, the whisper crawled into my ear. Touchdown, traffic control, 676 is on the ground. Hope you have some hot chocolate ready. The woman behind me snapped back and I heard what I assumed was running. I forced myself to turn around in time to hear her running out, barefoot. 676, welcome, I made myself say into the radio. My legs were still uncontrollably shaking. I could barely prop myself up and stand looking through the window. I expected to see the woman running out, but she was nowhere to be seen. Maybe she was still in the building, I thought. This time I managed to get the security guy on the radio and he showed up a few minutes later. But he did a full, thorough walkthrough. No trace of the woman. I started feeling relieved only when the police showed up. They thoroughly searched the building again without success. I call her a woman. I wouldn't be surprised if the police started thinking that I was hitting the bottle during work. I decided from now on I would keep it to myself until I could prove there was a person. A haunting, maybe? Something was disrupting the airport. I couldn't really quit, honestly. Would you? Probably not. I mean, yes, there were two absolutely surreal experiences, and I did feel some sort of intangible hazard. But I didn't think my life was ever in danger. I decided to stick with it. Winter was almost over anyways. But spring brought more horror than winter ever could. Scary story number 5. I think we're on. The basement door. Cassie hated the smell of her grandmother's house, like rotting and mixed fruit with bleach. She hated the flicker of the yellow kitchen light in the way the basement door always sat slightly ajar. As if inviting her. The night the storm outside rattled the windows. Her grandmother had gone to bed hours ago. Cassie couldn't sleep. She kept hearing scratching. It was coming from the basement. She crept to the door, her bare feet cold on the linoleum. The scratching stopped. "Hello," she whispered. The silence fell heavier and deafening, heavier than the darkness around her. She flicked the basement light on. A single bulb swung overhead, casting shadows that writhed along the basement walls. The smell hit her first, coppery like pennies in her mouth. She descended each step, creaking louder than the last. Halfway down, she saw the stairs stop and the stains begin. Brown red blotches across the concrete floor. Something shifted in the corner. "Grandma?" she said. A figure forward hunched, dragging something behind it. The dim light revealed her grandmother's nightgown, soaked, dark, torn open. Her jaw hung loose, skin shredded from the sides of her mouth to her ears. The thing dragged on the floor was an arm. It was not hers. Cassie froze, the taste of bile rising in her throat. Her grandmother's voice was a wet gargle. "You're just in time. We're hungry." Figures emerged from the windows, tall, pale things with 2 long fingernails and mouths ripped like paper. Their nails scratched the floor as they moved closer. Cassie backed down the stairs, but one of the creatures was already behind her. It clamped around her neck. She felt hot breath on her ear and the prick of a jagged teeth against her skin. She screamed, thrashing, and her fingers brushed something cold and metal on the shelf beside the stairs. It was a hammer. She swung wildly, bone crunching under the blow. The creature shrieked and collapsed. She darted up the stairs, slamming the basement door shut. Her chest heaved heavy as she locked it. The house was silent again except for the soft hum of the refrigerator. She turned and froze. Grandma was standing in the kitchen, smiling warmly. Her nightgown pristine. "You went downstairs, didn't you?" Cassie stammered. I saw." Grandma's smile widened unnaturally. "Oh, Cassie, the things you saw weren't in the basement." The light in the kitchen flickered. The walls around her melted into shadow. The basement door behind her swung